Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Two Doomed Men podcast, the greatest, ready? The greatest podcast in the history of the country, perhaps even the world by far. I don't think anyone comes close.
See, Alan, you're not the only one that knows Trump.
I love it.
Doom Nation, welcome back. You were listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, it's Skaggs and yours truly, the captain. And we have a very special guest today, our good friend, Alan. What's up, buddy? Welcome back.
Oh, I am very special. What is going on, guys? The Two Doomed Men. You guys,
the Right Wing Cigar King. I love that fucking term. CEO of the My Patriot Cigars, one of our favorite brands.
You're just saying that. You just what's going on? What's happening?
Life, baby, life.
We made it over the top of the hill. The election's over. It was in the back of my mind to have you on somewhat after, trying to get your take on everything going on. And then I saw that you're dropping a new cigar. So I'm like, oh, this is like the best chance to have Alan on to talk politics, but to also talk some cigars and stuff like that as well. We're trying to be a little bit less serious the next couple of months, although that's not going to be 100% what is able to happen. So excited to have you back, Alan. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think, we can, I guess, let our hair down a little bit, lack of a better word, but
we could breathe for a moment.
I don't know about that for me. I just lost all my hair or shaved.
Oh, no.
At the direction of Garrett, so I ain't letting any hair down.
Garrett, our kung fu warrior in podcasting world. All right, so let down our hair a little bit, but it still has to be full steam ahead. I mean, we have, before you know it, it's midterms, and not to get all political off the bat, but if we don't put the initiative in that we did for the Trump presidential election, if we lose one of both of the houses,
we're back to square one.
We don't have a shot in 2028. I truly believe that.
Yeah, that's what happened the first time around too, right? Didn't the House switch after the first 2 years, right? That really does hamstring your president. So I hope that doesn't happen. You're right.
It happens often.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of like almost the political law at this point.
It's scary because, Trump's, on his war path right now, and he's just, going to invigorate, people come midterms to, leftists to show up and vote, where a lot of right wingers or MAGA people might take their foot off the gas and, oh, Trump's in office, we're okay again, we don't need to worry anymore. And then that's how you lose the House or the Senate.
So, yes, and that I would say normally that's how it is. And Republicans are lazy when it comes to voting in one primaries and two and
Oh, yeah.
especially like the midterm elections, congressional and Senate and local races. However, the political landscape on how the whole infrastructure has completely changed. I mean, there are new players in the game, and Elon Musk for a second with his America PAC, which I'm actually dealing with the people directly involved with his PAC right now, and they've already formed and they're building an unbelievable infrastructure. And I believe with the candidates that President Trump is going to endorse and the ones that they're going to vet and support, they're going to be opening offices all over the country and targeting key states for key races, and not just congressional and Senate races. I mean, they want to open up an office in New York and go after Alvin Bragg, a Manhattan DA, and from mayors to governors everywhere, from
Board of
Jersey to New York.
Education,
Everywhere. And I think that's going to be a game changer, because between him, and then you have Scott Pressler, who's running around like a maniac. Now he's focusing on, listen, he moved to Pennsylvania to win Pennsylvania. He bought a house. He landed there. He helped win Pennsylvania. And now he's spending most of his time now in New Jersey. He has his
He took a 2-week vacation after the election, and now he's back to work already, huh?
That's it. He's already, I don't even think he took a 2-week vacation. So there's a lot of work to do. And, I'm live every morning and for 3 hours and just talking to people everywhere, just trying to keep the momentum going, because we can't let up. We can't.
No.
The moment we do, it's over.
Yeah, I agree. One of the big things too, I didn't think we were going to talk about the midterms, but I guess we can for a little bit here. The one of the things too, I think it's imperative that some of these fucking really shitty Republican Congress people and senators get primaried. I loved the other day I saw Nicole Shanahan, RFK Jr.'s former VP running mate, saying that anybody who basically goes against RFK Jr. and like listed names of who might do that she's going to fucking primary challenge and fund all of them. And, she's worth like a shit ton of money. So she's got resources. Yeah, she's a billionaire. So she's got resources in order to do that. Like, that's the energy that needs to continue after, 2 years from now, because it's great. Trump won, and he's, and we could talk about he's doing great things, right? But a lot of this is going to be contingent as well upon Congress doing the right thing. And a lot of these guys fucking suck. They are the absolute worst, and they're going to get in the way and make things difficult, and what they did the first time around. In fact, the Democrats will fucking vote us.
Aren't they already trying to impeach him? Bring up an impeachment.
So, first of all, we're running the agenda right now. So no impeachment's even going to come to the floor. However, I was reading something today that there are left-wing watch groups right now that are launching this investigation, for lack of a better word, into all of President Trump's cabinet picks, the people that are going to be confirmed, other high-level people in the administration, President Trump himself, and then they're also aiming to work with leftist PACs to back Democrats in elections, in the hopes that they can flip the House and or the Senate, so that they can go ahead and move right away. Because if they're controlling the agenda and Hakeem Jeffries gets the gavel, I would say within the first 10 to 15 days of
minutes,
of the new Congress minutes, that there will be articles of impeachment from everything, from what he had for dinner to the last shit he took, whatever it is. To your point, Skaggs, talking about the primaries, and yes, everyone's talking a big game about this rhino needs to be primaried, that rhino needs to be primaried, and that's great. But the issue is, you have to take each district, and this is where people don't broaden their I guess way of thinking politically. And I get it; not everybody has a political mind. Is if you have a moderate Republican, also known as a rhino, in a district that has a demographic of moderate Democrats that like this moderate rhino and vote for them. If we bring, say, we'll call him a MAGA America First candidate that we know among the Republicans in that district, we can put up against that rhino and win the primary. The problem is now, of course, getting through the general election. Everybody kind of wants to stop thinking after the primary, but you still have a general to get through. And that could be a problem if we're hard-nosed going after certain seats, where you really have to know what the voting demographic is in the district. Because if you're not getting through the general, we're losing that seat. That seat's going blue. So it's
I understand the concept.
Double-edged sword there.
One of the things I really have given Trump credit for and have to continue is just how smart, like, tactically and gaming out an election they were this past time. I was just listening to Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, talk about her interaction with Trump and the working together that they did. I'm like, and how like Rich Grinnell, he kind of like reached out and brokered that whole thing. And Trump's like understands this little tiny sliver of voting base could make a deciding difference. I should try and make a.
He didn't leave any stone unturned.
Yeah, like they paid attention to every little tiny detail, and the results showed at the end of the day. So I get what you're saying. You have to worry about all that stuff.
He's been on a massive roll because he led one of the greatest campaigns, and here we are.
Yeah.
What is it? 2 weeks? Not even a full 14 days since he became president, and we are, I mean, shooting to Mars. We are on a Trump MAGA rocket ship,
and I don't see it slowing down. Because
no, it shouldn't.
Let me bring something up real quick here. We'll talk about cigars here in a second, but I was planning on starting some of our conversation with a tweet by Chris Murphy, who said, "Look, Trump is trying to oversaturate us with nonstop chaos, so we can't react meaningfully to any one thing." And then he goes on to point out some of the things meaningfully. But I read that and I'm like, that's actually a pretty good
great strategy.
Even for me, right? Even for me who does a show and talks about stuff, I'm like, there's been so much shit that's happened in the first 2 weeks. I don't even know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, there are going to be things, of course, I disagree with Trump on, right? But he's done so many good things already. Am I going to sit here and pick on one thing? Like it's like 90-20. It's like 90-20 hamburgers, I was thinking, right? Like 90% of everything's been really good. 10% of things I disagree with, right? I have limited time to focus on shit. What am I going to choose to focus on? Alan, do you think that it seems like, man, they were ready to go the moment they came in? Did you think
he's been plotting this, yeah.
Do you think there was part of the strategy that, like, in order to be effective, we're going to come in and just completely fucking overwhelm the news cycle, the Democrats, everything?
I know it was because they've been working.
Alan came up with the plan.
He had this attitude, and everyone around him had this attitude. There's no question he's going to win. There was no doubts ever in Trump world, and I got to spend a lot of time with them and see the operation and what they were working on and how they were working on it. I mean, just the crafting of the executive orders and the game plan, and call it chaos. I call it chaos. I want more chaos. We have 2 years to bring as much chaos and disruption. So here's the thing. I voted for government disruption, and I think most of people in the MAGA movement did. And there are plenty of disruptors in Trump world. All of it. I mean, just for instance, he sends out an email to 2 million government employees and says, either show up to work February 6th or you're getting fired, but I'm going to give you this handsome buyout, which is an unbelievable buyout. You're going to get full benefits and full pay till September 30th. For 8 months, you're going to get paid. So you can go and get another job and start with your government resume to go work somewhere in the private sector while you're getting paid for 8 months. And if out of that 2 million emails, I believe as of the other day, they said they had about 10% that are looking to and most likely will take the incentive. So in his third week of his presidency, he could most likely successfully tell the American people that he has shrunk the government at least 10%, if not more, before he even started legally abolishing.
And that's just by making people come in and show up for work.
And that's it. And
if we can for 1 second though, Alan, why don't you shout out your show and your background? You haven't been on for a while, and like a lot of people listening don't know you've met Trump. You know, a lot of people in his stratosphere and all that. So if you want to shout out everything, give people a little background.
I own a cigar company. I shitpost on Twitter, or X now we're calling it. Sorry, Elon. And I was involved in the Trump campaign, involved in some other political stuff. I stream on Rumble every morning, Maga Mornings, 8 to 11 every morning, weekdays. What about me? I got Patriot Cigar Company. I known you guys for a while. I literally started podcasting, I think 5 years ago. I picked up a microphone and a camera, and it's been fun. Met a bunch of great people. Had the opportunity to meet President Trump several times, more than several times. Got to be part of his motorcade operations in New York, cool. Pretty much every day when he was in court, to just so many other things, getting to know a lot of the people, well, pretty much all of the people that you're seeing in Trump world, from Caroline Leavitt, Margot Martin, Stephen Chong, all of them. And it's funny, like
So you're not a nobody. You got some credibility, pal.
I'm a nobody. I'm a complete nobody. I'm a complete nobody.
It is cool though how you got into that world by just kind of like applying yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure at some point you just decided, hey, I want to do this, right?
I gotta say kudos to you, man. You are 100% go-getter. You, like you said, you picked up a mic and a camera 5 years ago, and here you are working with Trump's campaign and meeting him and like just going the fucking distance with it, man.
It's cool. It really is.
I will
I'm trying to
say,
suck your dick too much here, but it is cool.
Yeah.
Oh no, please suck away. No. I am. It's humbling because I literally, especially last year, a year ago, actually, this month with all of his court cases, from his defamation cases to his criminal cases. I mean, a front seat to history is, I guess, what I like to call it, unfold and really behind the scenes. Like if I was able, I'm telling you, like if I was able to stream everything that went on,
make a documentary,
from inside, and they made The Art of the Surge, but forget it. I'd probably be the most popular podcaster ever with the things that I was privy to hear and see. But like it's cool, but they're all regular people. Nobody wants to act like they're better than everybody. I mean, everything from just making sure, his lunch order got to Trump Force One every day after court. I mean, people are like, oh, we're doing Chick-fil-A for lunch. Oh, I'll go and I'll get it, like whatever it is. It's just, it's cool. And he's such a genuine guy. I love the people who have only seen him on TV. First of all, when you see him on TV, how can you say that he doesn't care about anybody? But when you get to know him and he gets to know you, because he never forgets anybody, he truly doesn't. He's just a genuine nice guy. He could sit there and bullshit with you about anything. It's just, and he curses a lot, which is cool because you should never you should never trust somebody that doesn't curse. So
that's good to hear. I'm sorry to cut you off, Skaggs, but like when we did the Libertarian caucus in Connecticut and we got to meet all the Libertarian candidates, me and Skaggs really sat back and when we spoke to these people and interacted with them, we were trying to see like who's just an NPC, like AI bot, and who's real that you could like sit down and hang out with. And to know that like Trump can do that, like just, adds to the legend that he is.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys a story real quick. Because again, I was just listening to Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, talk about her experience with Trump when she met with him. They had dinner, I think, at Mar-a-Lago. And he was running late. Like she was already sitting at the table waiting. He was running late. And she's like, look, he comes in rushing, super apologetic that he was late to the, this is Donald Trump, right? And this is Angela McArdle, in the sense of nobody, Libertarian Party. Super apologetic that he was late because he was in court for the bullshit things. But he was still being super apologetic about it. Like, that is pretty cool. And that's coming from someone who's not in the Trump camp per se, right? So, I thought that was really interesting. And
cool. Then he probably had dinner, and if they were sitting out on the patio, he'd probably play DJ for hours. He's just a regular guy. And you say that he's a real estate mogul. He's a billionaire and landed himself in the presidency. He's on another level, but he always wants to surround himself with regular people and talk to regular people. He never talks down to anybody. It's just wild to see.
Except the corporate media, which is fun.
Yeah.
Except the fake news. I mean, listen, he is the boss. And he didn't get the term for nothing, because I did get to see him several times. Like when he wants something done, he wants it done. And he's nice about it, but he wants it done.
Stern.
And, it's and I guess I've seen him getting a few people's ass too. Like, it's
hard to be the head honcho of the federal
of the world,
largest organization that's ever existed in the history of the world, right? But I'm sure it's just as hard to be the head of the Trump organization, right? So yeah, there's a method to the madness for sure.
Yeah.
Just to circle back real quick to the offering the federal government employees a buyout. You already you mentioned some of the statistics on that. You think about like 10% of people are going to accept it. I found that to be so interesting. Like it is. I'm all for it. It's a good way to get rid of some of them without legal battles and shit like that, right? But I'm just interested to see the data afterwards to see how many people actually took it or not. Because I was thinking, I'm like, most people who work for the government probably suck, right?
Yeah.
Like they're there because they're working for the government, not because they're like some really qualified person or something like that. Just at default setting, let's just say, right? So I wonder if they are actually en masse going to take that deal, because if they do, I'm not confident that they're going to be able to get a really good job on like the market and compete with the rest of us in the normal world. So they might end up a lot of them might end up not taking the deal. Like I would probably take the deal, right? Because I think I'm going to get wages for 6 months or whatever, go get another job and make double pay for 6 months. I bet you a lot of them aren't, because they are not confident in their ability to get another job.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Another way is, depending on what department they're from, whether State Department, whatever it is, if you can make a federal government resume look decent, especially if you've been there for a long time. I mean, you could fudge any resume. You fake it till you make it, right? And depending on the private sector, you might go and work like people in the State Department. They may end up being staffers for ambassadors, or I mean, Washington D.C. got every embassy down the road. Who knows? They'll probably do something like parallel to the government that deals with the government, but now they're in the private sector, and they'll end up.
I can tell you one group of people who won't be taking that cut is the DEI people, because they're not going to be.
What is the date? The last date of that again? Do you remember?
February 6th or something.
February 6th. So another thing I'm hearing is supposedly there's a rumor going around that a lot of people are not going to take the deal. Just I love how he put it. Just type resign, hit
in the email.
I love that.
Very efficient too. Yeah.
Very efficient. But a lot of people are just not going to show up to work, and I think see if they're going to test that. Or are you going to fire 30,000 people? And make no mistake, he'll fire 200.
Not very smart if you're going to test the "you're fired" guy on if
you're fired. Look what he just did to the president of Colombia in an hour
from the golf course.
Yeah. Do you think that people forgot? I feel like people kind of forgot the Apprentice Trump was like the "you're fired" guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like ancient history at this point, right? I feel like people must have fucking forgot that at this point. Like this guy got famous off of firing people. Yeah.
What I see end up happening is people not showing up, the termination coming down, immediate lawsuits, civil rights attorneys, DEI attorneys. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, racist. All the phobias are going to come out. Class action suit. The mainstream media is wild with it. People
this makes sense.
Families, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, this is like I guess I'm going to call it like the roundabout version of Schedule F of because I mean that's pretty much, I guess, in a sense what it is. But again, this is step one. What I'm really excited to see what step two is on shrinking the federal government. Are we going to go straight abolishment of certain departments? I was talking to someone who works in the federal government on the law enforcement side of federal government, and we were talking about the ATF, and apparently
should be a store.
It should be a store. Should be a store, and they should only sell guns, alcohol, and cigars.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to open up a cigar lounge and just call it ATF. Yeah. Have guns on the wall and booze. But
a shooting range bar with a cigar lounge. Yeah.
Apparently, every federal law enforcement agency has like a division of like the ATF in it. And the way it was explained to me was, I mean, Bill Clinton ATF. Bill Clinton was very close to getting rid of the ATF when what was it, Ruby Ridge?
Yes, yeah.
But they got saved. Then you got to look at the Department of Education. The writing on the wall is already for the Department of Education, because even though there's a Secretary of the Department of Education, he's now signing executive orders to promote school choice and everything else and bring things back to the state. Does he want to downsize FEMA in a sense where, all right, the federal money is there, and if states can do their own disaster preparedness and be trained by the federal government and and supplemented, who knows? Who knows what might happen? I want to see the shrinkage of the federal government like nobody's ever seen before, and I think we're seeing it
here.
when
my only issue with Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, is we literally have to expand the government so then we can start downsizing the government.
It's not really a government expansion because one, it's not a government agency, and when I tell you the funding for it and the people that they're hiring a minimal amount of staff, and you want to talk like menial salaries. All right, I'll tell you, I actually became very good friends with the person who's hiring for Doge, and she is the right hand to Elon Musk. She's the liaison for Elon Musk and Doge and even his PAC to the Trump administration. She works in the White House, and she sat in my hotel lobby. She wanted me to send her a resume. If I wanted to relocate to Washington, D.C., which I don't, especially for 2 years, I was offered a position in Doge. And I don't want to do that because when I have a family, and I told her if there's some type of appointment where, because there's a rumor there might be some appointments where you go in quarterly and things like that, whatever it is, but it's going to be so small. And then this is perfect because it's going to self-dissolve July 4th, 2026. It's done. And it's not an official government agency. And already they haven't even gotten rolling yet. And I think they already found $400 million. They're finding that the government is leasing properties that are either empty or I believe occupied of like 6% occupancy. Like, why do we have all of these property leases for millions of dollars?
Well, where else would you hide the sex trafficked people?
Oh yeah, that's it. That could be it. I mean,
I do like.
I don't know.
I really do like that concept of like a self-termination date. It'll be interesting to see if that actually happens.
Yeah, it would be the first government agency.
Just knowing the federal government, how usually every program ends up being permanent. We'll see.
Supposedly, and again,
Alan, let me ask you a question about it. Just in general, though, in terms of who they're hiring, would you say that they're looking to hire kind of like ideologically driven people who want to actually, like, people who would be willing to do one of those jobs because they're ideologically driven to shrink the size of government? So they'd be willing to not take some personal gain from the work they're doing.
I'll take a job and show up dressed as the Rim Reaper.
I believe that's the case. And they're looking for people who are from what I understand, some people that might be like expert in tax code and other things, and obviously accounting, bean counters, business driven. Like, why is the Defense Department? And that's a whole other thing. I mean, they failed their last 7 audits, right? They just failed their 7th one right before the election. So why are they buying a tumbler? All right, like a tumbler that would cost us $36. Why are they buying them for $98? Or this bolt that's 30 cents. Why are they buying them for $75?
Yeah, a hammer that's $3,500.
That's the famous Independence Day quote from from the movie. It's like, what do you think? There's really a toilet seat costs $88,000 or something like that. Remember that from Independence Day?
Right.
Yeah, and that was in the 90s. Yeah.
And they were. I mean, what was it last year? Zelensky was firing defense ministers because they were turning around and saying, okay, we're going to say we're buying this flak jacket for $30, but we're really buying them for $6, and they're pocketing the money. I mean, tell me that's not happening.
I think that's what the Gaza condom thing was as well. It made no fucking sense. The story about, what was it, 50 million condoms going to Gaza. Like, someone did the math of how many people there are there that could, in theory, wear a condom, and it would have been like 500 condoms per dude. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I mean, I don't know how many goats do they have in Gaza.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I tried to tell you the alley-oop, but yeah, that made no sense. That was obviously some sort of money laundering attempt or something.
Has to be.
So, Alan, let's talk cigars real quick before we get into the the hearings. Alan, you're dropping this new cigar. Now, I love cigars. I have bought them many times, but I don't know if I could afford this new cigar.
What are you thinking here, pal?
So what are we thinking? What's going on with the new cigar? Tell us.
So it's not going to be around forever. It's 1,776 of them. They're limited edition, limited release. They're numbered boxes. from 1 to 1776, right? And the thing about it, it's unique. If there is one gold wrapped cigar in the industry, all right, and I forget the name of it and I forget the company that makes it, but it sells for about $300 a cigar, and the whole thing is wrapped with 24 karat edible gold. So I went with that, but the whole cigar is not wrapped. I didn't want to wrap the cap, and it's 24 karat. It's real 24 karat gold, edible gold, the same as if you would get in on a steak or whatever else.
Yeah.
And you can smoke through it. It's a unique experience, and cigars are all about luxury. And when I was thinking about this and speaking to my factory, I was like, I want something with like just that luxury feeling, and I want it limited release. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me, like before I even decided what to call it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I said, I'm gonna call it the Mogul. And I said, and they're like, well, why are you gonna call it the Mogul? I said, because that's Donald Trump's Secret Service code name from when he was first president to when he was a past president to now. And just went into the whole thing about the guy's a penthouse in Trump Tower is nothing but gold. I mean, from the lobby everywhere, it's nothing but gold. So I said, this would be perfect. We'll put we'll emboss his name on it in gold on the boxes. And they're selling Trump sneakers for $400, among other crazy things. They're selling signed MAGA hats on eBay for 20 grand. So being that the cigar industry is all about luxury and people typically have the disposable income, but I'm also thinking, because I already have people that are on there buying 4 and 5 at a time and literally saying, I don't plan on smoking it, that it's just something to
have.
That's what I was thinking, right? Or is it kind of going to be, as someone who collects things, like pops here and whatnot, is it like, it looks like to me like a collector sort of item that someone who is a huge Trump fan can buy this. You're spending a lot of money on it. Yeah. But it's going to go like on the shelf or something, or in like a case maybe.
That was the idea around it. It comes in a tube, and it's, it's got the gold wrapping, and it comes with, it's $176. But if you use any like the promo code, you get the 25% off, and you're also going to get, it's free shipping, and you're going to get the sample pack free. So you're getting 5 cigars with it. You're getting one of each Patriot cigar, because I have the 5 of them, and you're getting that along with the Mogul. And I really wasn't, you're not buying this cigar to sit around the campfire and smoke it. Like if you're going to smoke it, I smoked one, right? I
was going to ask if you did. What's the flavor profile? Yeah.
The flavor is great. It's a really mild cigar. It's a Nicaraguan blend from a couple different regions. Like this one's, it's pretty unique. It's really light. And what's cool is when you're smoking through it, and if you're a cigar smoker, like, and you let the ash extend, and when you see it with the gold as it's burning through, and you get all the gold in the ash, it's just, it's cool.
That's cool. Interesting.
You're smoke, and it does not. What's wild is, because I was skeptical when I saw the gold wrapped cigar, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm a cigar snob, and I don't want the cigar to taste any different. So let me try one. And before we went into production of them, and nothing. It doesn't change. There's no odor. I was worried about like a chemical odor,
right?
Or taste.
Right.
Nothing. Literally.
That's awesome.
Is burning? Yeah, burning things as a chemical reaction.
Yeah.
Right? Is that going to change it? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man. One of the things I think I might have learned this for you, or maybe our friend Jim, that like keeping the ash, like a cigar that hangs on to the ash for a long time, is like the sign of a really well-made, well-kept cigar. I've always tried to now, like, anytime I have a cigar, keep that in mind and keep that shit going as long as I can. That's why every time we do one of our in-person episodes here where we get fucked up and I have a cigar, I always end up dropping every time. I end up dropping the ash all over me while we're in the middle of recording, because I'm like hanging on to it to the last possible second. Then we're drunk and this guy's moving next to me and I end up hitting something or whatever. Happens every time. I got burns in the rug down here. Yeah, so it's a sign of a good cigar.
It is. It's a sign of a good cigar. It's a sign of a good burn, good construction. And it also, the longer you keep the ash on, it actually makes the cigar burn cooler. right? Which means you're
These
not
are filters through the ash, right?
and yeah, but you're not getting the burnt flavor as you're drawing on it. So keeping the cigar ash on it as long as you can. I don't flick my cigar ash at all. It's either I'm looking at it, I know it's gonna fall. All right, unless it gets really long and I never tap the cigar. I just kind of give it a little a twist on the side of the ashtray till it falls off. They have ash contests at a lot of cigar lounges where there are rules where you have to take one puff. You have to take one puff or draw at least every 30 to 60 seconds, and you can't let the cigar go out. And guys are smoking down to the nub, and the entire cigar is an ash. And then
That's funny. They see who could almost complete it. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
funny.
I wonder if we could put money down on that.
Guys will fucking make a competition
Yep.
out of anything.
Just don't get too drunk with too many people in the room. Then you start getting the elbows and
hard
the
to do
ashes.
for me.
Yeah, not with us. Not with us.
All right, where can everybody find it, Alan? I do want you to plug it.
MyPatriotCigars.com, and I believe you guys have a promo.
We still have a
Yes.
promo code. Every once in a while, I throw the ad in the middle of our long episodes.
I think it's doomed, right?
Doomed. It's doomed. Yeah.
Yeah, and in all fairness, because I don't know if I ever changed yours. So in all fairness, if you're gonna go to MyPatriotCigars.com and you use promo code doomed, pay attention, and I'll update it when we're done with the show. They were originally 15% codes, and they should be now 25% codes. So yours isn't 25% off, it will be. So in case if they could throw in like a promo code MAGA, I know is 25%, but I'll update your code, make sure it's 25%. Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Cool.
Just so everybody can save a little bit more money.
Go buy some.
Go buy some.
Yep, you heard it here first.
Let's shift gears, and I do want to get into some of the Senate confirmation hearings the past 2 days. Before we started recording, we were talking about how these three in particular, I feel like, are way different than any Senate confirmation hearings ever, perhaps, and that being RFK Jr., Kash Patel, and Tulsi Gabbard. I got some clips from all of them. I'm going to focus first. We'll see if we have time. We'll go over to Kash. I do want to focus primarily on RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not saying Kash Patel isn't important. He is. We were saying before how Kash Patel's kind of like us. He's kind of like a little bit of a shit poster. His was probably the most funny.
Yeah.
But RFK and Tulsi kind of get into the weeds about really important policies and things like that, which is what I love. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on. Before I play the first video, Cap, anything you want to say about or Alan, about the hearings in general?
Have you noticed that it's really just corrupt Democrats trying like one last time to see if will you toe the line? All these, I listened to a lot of the RFK hearing and stuff, and they were like, will you now pledge to not sue or hold accountable any of the vaccine companies? And so he said, no, this is like my whole reason I'm here, because we're going to hold it accountable. Like, will you now say you are not an anti-vaxxer? Like, listen, this isn't COVID anymore. Right. Like, we're not towing the line. Stop trying. And some of the line of questioning, and I'm sure you're going to have plenty of the clips that I could point to. Like, let's go back. Like, COVID was 5-6 years ago, and freedom of speech was taken away. You weren't allowed to question the science to the point that, there was a preemptive pardon for the science guy. The opinion on our health organization has completely crumbled. We were told ivermectin's bad, and now here we are years later finding out ivermectin's good. We were told it was, a bat in a wet market, and you weren't allowed to say it came from a lab leak or anything like that.
You're racist.
Yeah, yet it was a lab leak. And you have the balls to come up here and defend the health organizations and the pharmaceutical companies. Life just changed for us all. And here's our opportunity to make sure it never happens again. And you're still trying to stand there, and you're going to grandstand and make sure that we're never going to question the science again. Get the fuck out of here.
I agree. For me, it was a very naked moment for a lot of Congress, where they just stopped pretending about who they really actually do represent. And it was just right there for you all to see.
Yeah, it was very telling.
Yeah, it was.
From the time from Pam Bondi's confirmation hearing. You got the feeling. We already knew, but they proved then. And then, of course, yesterday, today, the Democrats are not serious about anything other than their hatred for Donald Trump and anyone who calls themselves a Trump supporter or they label as a Trump loyalist. They had the opportunity, they have the duty to extract answers from these nominees with their serious questions, and they failed at every single turn. Not only that, they didn't coordinate with each other because they all parroted and asked the same exact thing and brought up the same stupid statements and the same stupid choir and Russia and all of this. And you can't take these people seriously at all. It was a clown show all around, a circus. And it's a waste of time, and it's actually a smack in the face of every American voter out there. Like this is who's representing us, and you're talking about people,
and you're still siding with them too. There's people out there siding with them, and I'm just like, you gotta have a shred of common sense. Like, forget who you voted for. You understand that there are certain chemicals and additives that are put in our food and our drinks that are not good for us. If you don't want them being taken away, that's fine. I could understand that argument. We're Americans. If you want to drink a 64-ounce soda and have all that aspartame in your system, go for it. I can't stop you, and I don't want to stop you. Right. But to sit there and support these politicians and like not have a shred of like common sense to see that like they're only in this for themselves. Like they're only in this because they hate Trump. They are genuinely trying to make sure Americans stay unhealthy.
Yeah, I say for someone even like me who doesn't want there to be any government agencies whatsoever, if there are going to be government agencies in general, I think their role would be to just tell us the truth about things. So like if RFK is selling to me that he's going to go in there and he's going to find out like, hey, this thing is bad for you, and that's it. He's just going to leave it at that. That's good. Like that's what the government agency should be doing. They shouldn't be like forcing you to take things or forcing the market to behave a certain way. Their role is to just tell you find out something and tell you the truth about it. Tall task, right? Because they've eroded all the trust,
all forms of trust. Yeah,
having them right. But how do you go about getting that back? I could see you doing it the way Trump is trying to do it here with guys like RFK and whatnot. So the first clip I wanted to play, and this one hits close to home for me specifically, is of RFK and Bernie Sanders. And it's actually going to be two clips, but this is the first one where Bernie Sanders is questioning RFK Jr. and they're talking about babies' onesies. This is the level of dialogue that we got here. So I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to just ask for a minute for myself to just go on a rant after this, just because this one's close to home for me specifically. So let's play it.
You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is no vax, no problem.
Pretty based. I'd buy one for my kids now.
Say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you
toe the line,
pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
leadership. Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
Could you imagine? This is a full-grown.
I love how RFK.
Can you imagine this is a full-grown man?
I need to take him serious.
Bernie Sanders here trying to deny a presidential appointee because somebody bought a baby onesie that said "No vax, no problem."
Yeah.
Like this, like Bernie Sanders sat there and he's like, "I know how I'm gonna get them with the baby onesies. This is gonna upend everything RFK Jr. has ever done in his life."
Put 10 more seconds.
Well, I want good science and I want to protect.
But you will
vaccine.
not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So, like, to piggyback off of what Captain was saying, this is what Bernie Sanders is concerned about, right? Onesies. And he's making the point that you are selling onesies to children that is going to cast doubt on vaccines and put children at risk. But Bernie Sanders doesn't seem to be concerned about the fact that the government literally forced people to buy vaccines for children during the COVID, during the COVID hysteria, during the mandate, right? He's not concerned about that, which could, in theory, actually harm children because they were not tested at the time. And this one, like I said, hits hard for me because one of my foundational moments in the political sphere was when Bernie started his campaign and was representing this sort of anti-establishment energy back in 2015, 2016. And a lot of Bernie's thing was around healthcare, right? Medicare for all. We want to help people. And I saw that and I like vibed with that. I'm like, that's a good thing. I like that this guy's running on this issue and whatnot. But yet here he is 10 plus years later, and he's doing the bidding of the pharmaceutical industry. And he is challenging the guy who actually does want to help people's, children's health and things like that. COVID was my red pill moment, right? Where the mask came off for all this shit. And I understood that, it's not actually about Medicare for all. It's just about telling you what to do. Thank God. Thank God Medicare for all didn't happen, right? Because a guy like Bernie Sanders would take away your Medicare for all, if you didn't do what he wanted to do. So it really is just something to see all these years later. Him like shilling for the pharmaceutical industry, which he is supposed to be, or by his own way he sold himself against that sort of shit. It really is all these years later. It's something, man. It really is.
Yeah, I just again, I mean, the onesies, guys, the onesies.
Yep, he hinges his whole argument on children's clothing.
How do you take any of them seriously? They're narcissistic, egotistical, power hungry hunts. Every single one of them. They are horrible, horrible people. They don't care what you think. They don't care what I think. They only care to hear themselves speak. They don't allow people to answer questions when they're not telling them what they want them to hear. None of the questions they're asking are yes or no questions. They're trying to these gotcha questions.
Yeah.
And it's just none of it's relevant when you have Pocahontas asking RFK Jr. about taking money from pharmaceutical companies when
She's
this year
two.
she took 800
I got that queued up. Alan, don't worry. I'm going to show that in a second.
It's all insanity, all of it. And they're not asking them, in my opinion, relevant questions about the positions that they're going to hold. Like just go back to Pam Bondi for a second. That happened already. She gets confirmed next week. It looks like she'll get it. But all they wanted to do was ask her about Kash Patel and his enemies list. You saw the writing on the wall in that confirmation. Now, is it about her and becoming attorney general, or are you just going to ask her about, Kash Patel?
It's that's a very good way of putting it, Alan. You see the writing on the wall. All they are worried about is being able to mandate vaccines again. If anything happens in the future, or if anything is released from a lab or such, they want to know that they will still have the power to control the narrative, to control your body. This is all it is a struggle for power and control, and it's just the disconnect from reality. These people, really to today, after everything that has gone down in the past 10 years, still truly believe we are just dumb organisms taking up space and breathing.
Unfortunately, it's not working anymore. But you are
it hasn't,
and it's not. They've lost their power in that regard.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Good.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Again, the last point on this. Again, like Bernie Sanders is making the point that a shirt is dangerous and that he has to stop you from, or he has to talk down to you because you sold a shirt, while he defends mandating experimental medical procedures on children.
Yeah.
Think about that.
One of these is not
I
like
don't think it works anymore. I don't think that works anymore all these years later.
Yeah.
Let's go to they had a two-parter. This one was where RFK Jr. really fights back. And this also ties in, Alan, to what you posted the other day.
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will
with
you
the sickness.
guarantee do what every other major country
And-
does? That's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies; it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry
Oh, no,
and
no,
protecting
no.
their interests.
I thought that would, no. I ran for president like you. I got millions
know.
and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
Because I had
receiver of
full
pharmaceutical money.
contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
You were the
this
single-
not a nickel from corporate
Bernie, you were
PACs.
the single largest acceptor of
workers-
pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in the industry.
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right.
The logic here makes no sense. As Alan tweeted the other day from Open Secrets, Bernie Sanders, $1.4 million, $1.5 million
In 1 year.
in 1 year. And it was the year of 2020. What was happening in the year of 2020? We were in the depths of
Something
the
everybody
COVID
forgets.
pandemic.
Yeah.
So Bernie's
Exactly.
excuse is it was the workers working for the pharmaceutical industry. They were the ones that were donating to my campaign. Even if that is true,
I want to know
what
if
was
that's
Bernie's
true.
position on the COVID pandemic at the time? It was mandate, lockdowns, do exactly what the Democratic Party was saying to do. So that's what they were supporting. That's why they were contributing to Bernie Sanders' campaign. On top of the fact that he supports making the government pay for everything, right? So I could see where that's like a symbiotic relationship, right? Where like we can mandate all the products, and then the government's actually going to foot the bill for them. So like we're creating the demand for our product, and then and we're also ensuring our profit because the government's going to pay for it. So it makes sense that they would want to back Bernie Sanders.
I would like to take that 1 year of whatever it was, whatever million for Bernie Sanders, where he just sat there and told everyone, no, it's the workers in the industry. Well, then audit that one point whatever million dollars, and let's
Follow
see
the money.
donations and see, are these donations of middle class Americans that are donating $250 or less, and are these people, do they work in the pharmaceutical industry? Because I'm sure there's going to be large sums of money in that $1 million that he took.
Oh yeah, I also just like on its face it like, so what, right? Like why just because they are working class people means they were doing it for the right reasons? That doesn't make any sense either. I'm not saying they maybe didn't, but that's like not exactly an argument to be making. Could be that they were all working class people and like, wow, we're going to do really good during the pandemic.
Or they were just part of the scam.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to do really good because of this pandemic. We better like vote for the guy who's going to ensure that we continue doing good the next couple of years, even if they were like a middle management type person.
Right. But also the scam, when he made it a point to say that it wasn't corporate PACs, it was the individual workers in the industry. Okay, guys, you ready for this?
Ordered by the corporate PACs.
Right. I have the corporate PAC, and all of the people that are working for whatever pharmaceutical industry, I'm going to go to them and say, listen, they're going to keep you working. They're going to keep you in business. You have to donate $25, $50, $75, $100 to Bernie Sanders. It can't come from the PAC directly, but all of you. So he's not lying then. All right, they come from the workers of the industry, but they were directed. They were
Sure.
directed
And you know that happens. You know who does that all the time? The unions. The labor unions. Everyone knows this. The labor unions have meetings with the members. They sit down and they go, look, here are the candidates running. you should actually vote and support this person because they're pro-union and they're going to do X, Y, and Z for us. You mean to tell me that the pharmaceutical industry didn't do the same exact thing with their staff during the exact moment when they were about to make the most money ever? Of course they fucking did.
And it would be interesting too, if you really wanted to get crazy and a little forensic with it, all of those working class people that were in the pharmaceutical industry that made those donations. Let's go ahead and see, one, if they work as a private 1099 contractor for any of the pharmaceutical supporting PACs, because that's common too. Well, we can't pay you directly, but you're going to work for the PAC doing whatever, whether it's whatever you're doing for the PAC, but we're going to pay you as a 1099, but we expect you to donate to our causes. And here it is, Bernie Sanders is our cause. I'm sure you'll find a shit ton, just like going back to our previous conversation about President Trump. And he said it today in his press conference in the Oval Office, or in the press briefing room. If they have reason to believe, actually it was at the Laken Riley bill signing, they have reason to believe that there are employees since COVID, since everybody went in remote, that people are logging onto their computers from other jobs, and they're working other full-time jobs, and they're double dipping, which is it's a crime. It's a crime. So I wonder how much of that is going to get exposed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, it only sounds logical at this point.
I want to move on to Tulsi Gabbard, who is vying for the Director of National Intelligence. She also had her hearing today. And I was saying before, it was essentially boiled down to a litmus test over Edward Snowden, the famous whistleblower who blew the lid on the fact that the federal government was spying on every single American person back in 2013. And let's hear what Tulsi had to say.
Simple yes or no question. Do you still think Edward Snowden is brave?
Mr. Vice Chairman, Edward Snowden broke the law. I do not agree with or support with all of the information and intelligence that he released, nor the way in which he did it. There would have been opportunities for him to come to you on this committee or seek out the IG to release that information. The fact is, he also, even as he broke the law, released information that exposed egregious, illegal, and unconstitutional programs that are happening within our government.
Excuse me,
that led to
I don't want to
serious-
hear that.
No.
No, she's saying what we don't want her to say.
Chairman, we got 5 minutes. So I take your answer, and these are your quotes. Brave, please join my bipartisan legislation calling for charges to be dropped against him. Do you disagree that legislation was not appropriate? Do you believe he is brave or not?
Yeah,
Back those words?
once again, Senator, Edward Snowden broke the law. He
Ms. Gabbard,
also
I'm not
released
talking- we
information
agree that Edward Snowden
that
broke the law.
exposed the United States
Asking you a
government's
question whether
illegal
your
programs.
legislation and your words are still your beliefs. Yes or no, please.
I would just say yes.
Very clear. Edward
Just-
Snowden broke the law. He released.
Go ahead, Cap.
I would just say yes. Let their toes curl. Give them the reaction that they want. You know what I mean? Like, come in guns blazing, let the chips fall where they fall. She's either going to get confirmed or not. Really just blow these. You know what I mean? Like, they're looking for the 2-minute clip. You know what I mean? Like, this is why they're doing all this nitpicking stuff. Don't give them anything. Yes, I do. Next. And just, they would be left with nothing. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I do. Goodbye. Next.
If she had any balls, she'd say, not only do I think he was brave and a great American patriot, but I believe he should get a full and unconditional pardon.
There you go. Yeah.
That
Really
would-
just blow them away. Like, throw them such a curveball.
That's it.
I agree with you guys in principle. However, this is why we're not running for office, right? Because Edward Snowden himself tweeted this morning. He said Tulsi Gabbard will be required to disown all prior support for whistleblowers as a condition of confirmation today. I encourage her to do so. Tell them I harmed national security and the sweet, soft feelings of staff in D.C. That's what passes for the Pledge of Allegiance. As much as it pains me to agree with Edward Snowden, I think in this scenario, you should probably just lie.
Yeah,
them,
he's
right?
not wrong. Yeah.
Especially because everything that they're fucking saying is a lie. So why should you hold yourself to some high moral standard in this scenario and not lie right back to them?
That's even more sinister. I like
get
this.
into position and then actually enact change in a meaningful way. Whereas if you do what the three of us are saying we should do is fuck you. He was right and you're all wrong. Then you don't get in and then you don't actually change anything, right? Unfortunately.
I think she's going to get in, no problem.
I think they're all getting in.
Oh, listen, I'll be honest. It doesn't matter if it's a tie and JD Vance has to vote all three because, of course, they're like, oh, look, they have to bring in JD Vance as a tiebreaker. A win is a win. It doesn't matter. And you want to know something? One way or another, if somebody doesn't pass confirmation and they move to recess appointments and acting and they figure it out, all three of these people, I truly believe, are going to lead the departments they're meant to lead. So
I hope so. They're great picks. They're some of my favorite picks. And again, just going back to this whole litmus test thing about Edward Snowden, again, it's really just such a mask off moment. That's what their ass is so chapped about the fact that a guy whistleblew on that they were spying on everyone. They hate that fucking guy. If they could kill him, they would. The only fact that they haven't is because he's out of reach of them at the moment. So that is literally the litmus test for the Department of National Intelligence head. It really is. It's gross when you think about it. They're essentially telling you or co-signing that they will spy on you all again, or they support that sort of fucking behavior. They're not outright saying it, right? But it's an omission of it, and in a sense. What were we gonna say before that?
It's just this disconnect from reality again. They're only interested in seeing who will toe the line, which is incredible because the entire reason why Trump won the election is because we're not towing the line anymore. No one is. It's a whole new world, boys.
It is.
I
agree with that.
I mean,
go ahead, Alan.
I was just gonna say, on your point, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're still trying to figure out how Donald Trump, after everything they threw at him, all right, and tried to kill him, that the guy managed to pull the biggest, most epic political comeback in all of American history, probably all of the world. I don't think there'll ever be a political comeback like this ever again in our lifetime. 7 swing states, the popular vote, over 300 electoral votes. After all of this shit, these assholes thought they had him the day they raided Mar-a-Lago. They thought they had him then.
Isn't that ironic too? Because that's the day that everything seemed to start turning around for Trump. It's sort of momentum. Like up to that moment, it was kind of unclear for most people. Like, is he even going to run for president again? Is he going to be the guy? Ron DeSantis was throwing his name in the hat at that time. This is a long time ago. But when they did that, when they went to his, they raided Mar-a-Lago, everything changed, man. I mean, literally everything changed. So an act that they took, in a sense, kind of re-emboldened the whole Donald Trump movement. Yeah. They were thinking they were going to put a nail in the coffin, and it actually ended up having
every time they hit him, he was stronger. It was amazing.
Okay,
and that was the day a lot of prominent people came out of the woodwork saying that's it. I'm behind. And Tucker Carlson says it. He's listen. Well, I threw it all behind Donald Trump and knew he was the guy when they raided Mar-a-Lago. That was it for me. That was the nail in the coffin for him and a lot of other people.
For a lot of people, right? Thought, all right, this is too far now. We see what's going on, and it only got worse as it went, right? They took shots at him multiple fucking times. Let's not mix words about what that was. Everybody knows what that was, right? So, most people don't agree with that. We're not fucking, some tin pot country here where you could just overthrow our, whatever, the will of the people. So before we wrap it up, there is, I have to play it. There's a 4-minute, it's long. It's 4 minutes of Tulsi Gabbard, but boy, was she on point in this part. I just have to play it as well. If you've watched our show, it's going to sound like one of our recurring guests, almost verbatim, about a certain topic, and it's going to be the war in Syria.
Senator Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colonel Gabbard, when Russia was denying us use of chemical weapons, they accused the U.S. of supporting terrorists. This is a line that Putin used frequently during the Syrian civil
war. So real quick, this is Mark Kelly, the astronaut asshole. He's the one asking this question.
War as he supported Assad. Syrian officials made similar comments. They did it repeatedly. They did it in public. They did it at the United Nations. In 2016, you gave an interview in which you said, and this is a quote, "The U.S. is providing direct and indirect support to terrorist groups in order to overthrow the Syrian government." And in 2019, on the Democratic presidential debate stage, you said of President Trump, this is a quote, "This current president is continuing to betray us. We were supposed to be going after al-Qaeda, but over years now, not only have we not gone after al-Qaeda, our president is supporting al-Qaeda." So I'm interested to hear, what was your goal in saying these things? And did you consider, before saying them, the motives of Iran and Russia, what their motives might have been before making these claims?
So real quick, Mark Kelly just thought he asked the ultimate gotcha question. He really does.
Yep.
They all think that.
Senator, as someone who enlisted in the military specifically because of al-Qaeda's terrorist attack on 9/11 and committing myself and my life to doing what I could to defeat these terrorists, it was shocking and a betrayal to me and every person who was killed on 9/11, their families and my brothers and sisters in uniform. When, as a member of Congress, I learned about President Obama's dual programs that he had begun really to overthrow the regime of Syria, and being willing to, through the CIA's Timber Sycamore program that has now been made public, of working with and arming and equipping al-Qaeda in an effort to overthrow that regime, starting yet another regime change war in the Middle East. DoD train and equip program, again, begun under President Obama, is widely been known, looked at and studied, that ultimately resulted in over $500 million being used to train who they called moderate rebels, but were actually fighters working with and aligned with al-Qaeda's affiliate on the ground in Syria, all to move forward with their regime change and not acknowledging what was obvious at the time and what has unfortunately borne true, which was that a regime change war in Syria, much like the regime change wars in Iraq, the toppling of Gaddafi and Mubarak, while these are all dictators, would likely result in the rise of Islamist extremists like al-Qaeda taking power. I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad regime, but today we have an Islamist extremist who is now in charge of Syria, as I said, who danced on the streets to celebrate the 9/11 attack, who ruled over Idlib with an Islamist extremist governance, and who has already begun to persecute and kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria.
I understand.
Why that should be acceptable to anyone is beyond me.
It shouldn't
is
be.
certainly
And
not in our
I appreciate your answer, and thank you. My concern has to do with the tendency to repeat Russian and Syrian, and even in some cases, I think we'll get into in the closed session, Iranian information, and to discount what comes from our intelligence community.
Senator, every American deserves to know that people in our own government were providing support to our sworn enemy, al-Qaeda. That should not be acceptable by anyone.
Thank you.
That's his retort. You're saying Putin talking points and Iran.
It's again, these are unserious hearings. These are unserious people.
Yeah.
They want to hear themselves speak. They all want to. It's like they're competing for the gotcha questions, and none of them are gotcha questions. And then when they realize they don't have gotcha questions, then the typical fashion of just morons is they have to talk over them. You're not answering the question the way I want you to answer it, so I'm going to speak over you until I'm loud enough that you just stop talking. And it's just, I will listen. I think so far, there's a few I didn't watch, but I'll call the more popular confirmation hearings. All of the nominees did not allow any of these assholes to step all over them. Where typically, if you've ever watched confirmation hearings in the past, a lot of them just kind of like, they sit there and
Just take it.
It's tough. It is tough. It's a tough
This
scenario
is
to be put in.
The status quo is
Cap, who did that sound like to you?
Which one?
That long answer that Tulsi Gabbard just gave. Did that remind you of anybody?
Who, Scott Horton?
Yeah, that's Scott Horton, man. That's literally Scott. You could have put Scott Horton there to sit in that chair, and that's the answer he would have given. And to Mark Kelly's detriment there, he actually didn't do what Alan said. He didn't talk over Tulsi Gabbard. He let her talk for a good 4 minutes there. Big mistake.
Surprised.
Because she just told the truth for 4 minutes
Yeah.
about the government supporting Al-Qaeda in Syria. To this very day now, we just talked about this, putting the fucking guy in charge of Syria, who was the emir, to Al-Qaeda there over the years and fought against American soldiers in Iraq. And they tried to frame it, to kind of blame it on Donald Trump. First of all, Donald Trump wanted to get us out of Syria, right? Like, again, this is me. I have many criticisms of Donald Trump when it comes to wars and things like that.
Just
right?
smart enough to realize
But
this.
when it comes to Syria, he tried to get us out of Syria. He also readjusted the priority to attack the actual terrorists, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Operation Timber Sycamore was not his project or his plan. That was the Obama plan, and it was treason. So I love the fact that this got thrown out there as a gotcha, and actually it gives people now a chance to probably hear this for the first time. I'm not sure how many people even know that our government was supporting Al-Qaeda, in 7 countries over the years, and backing them against dictators and whatnot.
I hope a lot of people watched these nominations and took the time to even watch clips or the whole thing, because even with Kash Patel's hearing today and others, there were things that normies probably would have no idea, or anyone that is not politically connected would have no idea what was going on within the federal government at all.
Yeah,
They wouldn't. No.
I second that. But to piggyback off something you just said before, Alan, all these hearings and all these people, none of them are just sitting there taking it on the chin and being stepped all over. It is, Trump might be right here, the golden age of America. We are rapidly moving away from the status quo. We are changing all the norms. This is a whole new playing field that nobody but people like us or these people or people who are just tired of this are ready for. All the normies are about to be blown away. All the Democrats that think they are untouchable are going to find out they are very much touchable. And no, YouTube, that is not a threat. But we are quickly and wildly moving in a new direction, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, one of the greatest things Donald Trump has ever done is he eroded this whole thing. It doesn't work anymore. The corporate press, they're destroyed, right? Like that whole thing that they were doing for years. If I'm going to look back in future years and be like, damn it, what's the best thing Donald Trump did? Is that he threw the ultimate wrench in that whole thing, and the whole system fucking short-circuited and doesn't work anymore because of it.
The best part of it, as far as the corporate media goes, is Donald Trump, MAGA, people like us who have worked so hard to destroy the mainstream media narrative and to expose it. It's the fake news. They think that they still have this model that they're going to destroy and criticize Donald Trump. But guess what? They don't have the audience that they had in 2017 anymore.
Right.
I don't think they have half the audience collectively, the mainstream media, that they did in 2017. So the people that they are crying about racism and DEI and Nazism and World War II and concentration camps and all this shit, they're just spewing that to the people that stuck around.
Yeah.
Nobody
the people who
knew.
lost their seat at the table.
Yeah, the few boomers left.
I literally had a conversation not long ago with somebody, and they were going on. They don't like Trump, obviously, and I was like, we're on the brink of just like the brass tacks. Like if we get rid of the income tax, we are going to take more money home in our paychecks. That's a good thing. You're still worried about abortion, like. What are your priorities here?
Yeah.
If you don't want the money, donate it to me.
Something you probably never actually do or use. Yeah, like an abortion, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that's what those things are all wedge issues to pit people against each other. So we can't focus on shit that actually matters.
These people have lost their seat at the table.
Look, man,
and
as someone who does think abortion should be illegal, I thought that Trump's strategy around that whole thing was actually the correct strategy to disarm that whole argument. Like we don't need to have that argument right now. It's like a dumb thing to be fighting over that then's going to pit everyone against me, and then we're going to lose.
They won't give that argument.
Oh, I know. It was the Democrats who were trying to keep that going because they know
that they were going to win. They thought they were going to win on abortion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and now there'll be and I've been talking about this for the last week. There's the whole new narrative that they're working on, and we have a 34-time convicted felon as president who
That's not
just
gonna work either.
it's not, but and unleashed his criminal friends, January Sixers, who's lawless. They're gonna it's gonna be an entire narrative. They're gonna try to pick off Senate seats and House seats with that, among other nonsense. Don't come up with any policy, and they haven't learned. They haven't learned.
I don't think so.
They're
I agree with you. I think one of the things we have to be aware of and keep an eye out for the next couple of years is that they will probably try a different method in the next couple of years. We were talking about this. I don't know if you're on this episode, Cap, but with the Sean Ryan podcast, where he had a couple of like CIA people on.
Yeah.
Like they might try and launder some narratives a little bit smarter
Well, the
in
good thing
in our
we're
more
here.
independent space. Like they might send
Yeah.
people into that, you know, with this phony air of authenticity on their side to try and launder some bullshit narratives that way. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. I think they're going to realize at some point going on
Fair
CNN
enough.
and saying the same thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't
anymore.
think they have the
intelligence.
infrastructure to concoct something like that. I think if that's going to come from somewhere, that's going to come from the old guard Republicans. That you have two factions now, or three. We'll call it three factions. You have MAGA, right? You have MAGA and the broad intent of MAGA that brought in liberals who were tired of voting for Democrat, who brought in all these demographics. Then you're going to have, of course, the progressive liberals, right? Those sick fucks. But now you have the Paul Ryans, the Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys, and make no mistake, they're the old guard, but they are actively recruiting young Republicans who've never, ever taken their clothes off in front of another person except for their mother, okay, into the old guard, thinking you're going to be a congressman one day. You're going to be a judge. Donald Trump's era is done and is the old guard's chance to take back 2028 so we can go back to the establishment swamp and work well with the Democrats. So you have all of this now coming at MAGA, and that's why, like earlier in the show, everybody, Donald Trump won. We're loving it. It's great. Look at all the rock stars. It's pedal to the metal. We have 2 years to cause as much government disruption and shrinkage and chaos as possible with positive things. And then we have the midterm elections. And then if we lose the midterm elections, it's over. It's the next 2 years. After that will be a lame duck presidency for Donald Trump. Hakeem Jeffries gets his way, and we lose the White House in 2028. There's no chance of J.D. Vance. There's no chance of anyone else you might think of. The Republicans will lose in 2028 if we lose the House and the Senate. But you heard it here. It's over. So we got to make a decision. Are we going to be lax, or are we going to just balls to the wall? I know everybody's tired, but guess what? Put your big boy pants on.
America doesn't sleep.
That's something Captain and I keep an eye on the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Talking about who's going to be the kind of the heir, because Donald Trump is getting older. He's not going to be around forever, right? Does it go back to that energy of that old neocon
Kingmaker? Yeah. What do we do? Yeah. We need over a decade of this type of disruption and influence to strengthen. And I was talking to somebody at a party, and I was like, we need another MAGA Republican in office to get like 12 years of this out of it. And that's how you change culture and shift everything. And the next generation coming into the voting booth has now had 10 years of this positive, prosperous, pro-nation, nationalist, patriotism going in, and they don't want to go back to these ways.
Yeah.
The only way it's going to work is after these 4 years that the right conservative Republicans, MAGA Republicans, are going to occupy the White House for the next 16 years consecutive.
I agree. Fundamentally, I agree. Everything. 100% agree. Let's wrap it up in a second. I think we have to do tweets of the week with Alan, just because I got some funny ones. You have some this week.
I actually have. Yeah,
you have some. I saw you had some. So let's do them. I got 4, Captain. I think you got 3, so we can alternate well, one in between the other. And my first one is from the man himself, Donald J. Trump, who says, wow, really good news. Jim Acosta, one of the worst and most dishonest reporters in journalistic history, A major sleazebag has been relegated by CNN fake news to the midnight hour. Death Valley, because of extraordinarily bad ratings and no talent. Word is that he wants to quit, and that would be even better. Jim is a major loser who will fail no matter where he ends up. Good luck, Jim. This one fucking killed me, man, when I read it. This is like Trump in his zone shit posting. I fucking love it.
Just imagine being you're a mainstream media journalist and the leader of the free world is
just
bullshitted
on you.
Shit posting you.
Yeah.
Shit posting you.
Shitting all over you 10:30 in the morning on fucking social media. It's great. It's great.
It's beautiful. This is a retribution tour.
Cap, go ahead.
This is a bit older, but it is the picture made famous by the kid who plays the Flash, but it's basically Donald Trump leaning down next to a DEI grave, given the peace symbol. DEI, January 20th, 2025.
That's
dead.
Funny. Good.
Yep.
Good tweet. My next one is by Matt Walsh, who says he's quote tweeting Ian Carroll about cutting funding to Israel. So Matt Walsh goes, I've said publicly like 100 times that I want to end all foreign aid to all countries, including Israel. And yet people still post this response like some spooky, scary thing I won't say out loud. Yes, and foreign aid to Israel too. How else do I need to say it? Should I sing it in a song, draw a picture? What do you need? Yes, Matt Walsh, I actually do want you to sing in a song. You're Matt Walsh. He's really good director and producer. I want you to make a song and sing about how we should cut funding to Israel.
Did Ben Shapiro fire him yet?
Not yet. I mean, if he does, that might be the fucking last straw. But that would be amazing. That would be amazing to see Matt Walsh do it. That was fucking pretty funny. All right. Let's see what you got, Cap. Number 2.
I like
oh, yeah. Scroll up. I can't see the top to read it.
Make the name
let's make the name change official. Sorry. So I had a blast laughing at the president of Colombia, who thought he had the balls to defy Trump's order. So since we're changing the name of everything, the Gulf of America and stuff, Colombia is now called Trump's little bitch.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's funny, actually. John Rocker shared that one. I was trying to get John Rocker on the show. The pitcher from the Braves in the 90s. That had the beef with the Yankees back in the day. He's really funny. He just got active on Twitter, and he's really fucking funny. Yeah, man. Talking about all the shit that's happened. Like we don't even have time to talk about how they got shit on over the weekend. That feels like it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
From the golf course, he did it.
All right, my next one is from Antonio Brown, who is a wild follow on Twitter. And Antonio Brown
on Instagram
tweets a picture of Barack Obama. Keep my wife's dick out your fucking mouth. And it's of Barack Obama as Will Smith.
You might see him promoting Patriot Cigars very soon.
Really? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I suggest everyone go and follow him. He is fucking.
I'm gonna have to.
On Twitter. He has Cracker of the Day. He does where he picks like a white person as Cracker of the Day. He's a fucking really funny follow.
I want to do a little bit more investigation to see if Barack Obama and Mike Obama are divorced.
Yeah,
or getting divorced.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a guy holding a shield protecting people, and it says "Ice, me, big booty Latinas."
I mean, so,
I know you're pro.
Go ahead, Alan.
You can't.
Is Alan pro big booty Latino? Let's find out.
You can't take them all. All right, Tom Homan. You can't take them all.
Right.
Most. Yeah, leave some.
ICE should keep a one of those like measuring tapes that they do to like measure you up when you get a suit.
Yes.
And if you hit a certain a certain measurement around the waist.
But it needs a waist to ass ratio,
yes.
And then that's the key to staying instant citizenship.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Some would call it amnesty. We call it amnesty.
All right. My last tweet of the week is by Chris Hayes, a shit lib through and through, who says, kind of looks like there are 12 to 18 red-pilled social media addicts aged 25 to 30 who are effectively running the entire federal bureaucracy at the moment. That's right, motherfucker. Yeah. Basically, it is me.
You left us no other option.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it's become.
This is, for the past 4 years, when anything crazy would happen and prices were going up and you couldn't afford this and a new war happened, I would look at people and this is what people voted for. I'd remind them, you didn't want Donald Trump. You voted for the old man, and this is what you voted for. You had to have known what you were voting for. Now I remind people, this is what I voted for. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. This is why I voted this way.
It's funny. Speaking of memes, I saw Mostly Peaceful Memes made a meme that said that. It was like people talking to Trump supporters. It's like, this is what you voted for. And it's the confused black guy like, this is what I voted for.
The entire idea.
I understand the point you're trying to fucking make. Yeah.
I think the points they're trying to make is funny. The New York Post is getting a little edgy. That they put something out today. Like they're saying it's costing about $4,000 something per migrant to deport them and transport them on military transports, about 4 times the amount of a first class ticket on a commercial jetliner. And I'm like, listen, I mean, first of all, the price of it's money well spent. It's money well spent.
Yeah, spend money to make money. Tom Homan already fucking discussed all that.
Spend it all because it costs more to keep.
The one time it costs,
That's it. Just get them out. I don't care if it's $5,000 per person. The amount of money we've been giving these people, just get them out. This is gonna be the Democrats' big argument going into, especially the midterms, is the amount of money that the deportation operation.
Yeah, but how much money did each individual get per month just living here illegally? All the housing, all the food, the cell phones, this and that. Oh, if it's cheaper to put them on first class ticket, give them a first class ride the fuck out of here.
Yep. Good luck with that argument. All right, let's wrap it up. Alan, last chance.
Shout out to MAGA Mondays.
Thanks for having me. It's Maga Mornings every weekday 8 to 11 on Rumble. Just type in Maga Mornings. Follow me on X. That's the best place. It's Alan Jacoby Jr. Jr. You can type it in and find me, and mypatriotcigars.com. Come check us out, guys. It's a pleasure. I'm really happy we got to do this. Have to do it again.
Yes, Alan, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. We miss you, buddy. Go check out Patriot Cigars. They're very good cigars. Skaggs and I really like them. Obviously, Alan's the man for creating that company. And that's all, Doom Nation. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you back next week. Be prepared. We have more guests coming. We got a ton of
liquor reviews. We
got reviews coming down the line. More video game streaming. More guests. It's going to be a fun year. We will see you guys next week. Adios.